Hi, this is Chaz Palminteri, and if you're thinking about getting your eyes done, the only person to see is Dr. Rothman of Lasik of Nevada. I flew all the way from New York to be here, and Dr. Rothman did my eyes. And all I could say is, it's a miracle. I could see. You see Dr. Rothman of Lasik of Nevada.
This is the right thing to do. If you could see me, you would know that.
Living in Las Vegas starts now. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada, that groovy little podcast that gives you a true first-person look into what it's like to call Sin City your home. The Living in Las Vegas podcast. And now your host, yes, a man who clearly needs some kind of introduction, otherwise you wouldn't know who he was. Brought to you by Mike, Mr. Scott Whitney. Oh, hey, everybody! It's the Living in Las Vegas extravaganza. And I'm, in fact, your humble host, Scott Whitney. It's great to have you all here. This show is brought to you by Mike's Hard Lemonade. It's actually not brought to them, or us, them. It's not brought to you by them. But it is girly, and that makes me very happy. So let's get started, wanna? I think so. First of all, let's go ahead and introduce, well, you know her, you love her. She's my naughty, jelly, sweet Mrs. Melissa Whitney. Oh, damn it. Look at that. Can you believe that? That's right. Again, abandoned by your wife. Listen, folks, you get married, why? Because of the sandwiches? No. Because of the cold feet they put up against your back at night? No. You get married so that when somebody wants to do a show, you, the spouse, show up. Now, many spouses are good about that, and they're loving and caring, and they're helpful, and all those good things. On the other hand, some spouses are mean and cruel and don't understand the pressures that I'm under. That's okay. It doesn't matter because I and... Where are you? Her. There she is. My lovely wife. Are together in spirit. Even she's out there teaching people and making things better. I'm here alone. I'm here alone with you, with the viewers and the listeners on a variety of stations, and I appreciate that. And so we're gonna barrel through here. I'm not afraid. So let's do a little bit of Living in Las Vegas stuff real quick. The website is livinginlv.com. It's livinginlv.com. Of course, if you're a fan of the Vegas Video Network, and hell, who wouldn't be? It's vegasvideonetwork.com. That's vegasvideonetwork.com. Let's say that you are in the moment kind of guy. You want to send us a caller line thing. Hello, Scott. I would do this show with you. Sign Ted. Hey, Ted. That's why I called. Wanted you to be here. Then you could call 866-966-4599. Again, 866-966-4599. Or if you're more contemplative and want to write an email to us, we would love to hear from you. That email address is onairq at livinginlv.com. Again, that's onairq at livinginlv.com. All right. What else real quick? Hey, I'd like for you to check out our Facebook page. That's it right there. The facebook.com/Vegas Video Network. We continue to get more and more people. Would dig for you to join us. That's what all the cool kids do. Also, of course, shout out to the good folks over at Lasik Nevada. Dr. Rothman, 40,000 plus procedures. And you got to be impressed with that. Today's weather, 109 degrees. Wait a minute, that seems hotter than normal. 83-degree pool. As a matter of fact, we have an excessive heat warning today through Thursday, or through Saturday, I should say. 103 degrees on average in the west. of the valley, yet 112 degrees in the east of the valley. That, I would argue, is hot. But what's also hot, and this will, by the way, positively affect our pool temperature. So there's always a silver lining here, kids. And that is our nighttime lows will be between 85 and 90 degrees. Now, let's think about that for a minute. You're a tourist, and you're walking down the strip, and it's, let's say, 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night. Hell, let's go to 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's 85 degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, it really doesn't get any better than that. That in and of itself is one of the reasons why we moved to Las Vegas, just so I could walk around in the middle of the night in 85-degree weather. Yes, and the fans love it too. I just love that. Some quick stuff real quick. The meetup is coming up. Hot and heavy. Pretty neat stuff real quick. The reason why I'm saying real quick is I got an email from a longtime listener who said, you do too many freaking commercials in the beginning of the show. So I'm very sensitive to not doing too many commercials. But thanks to her, she asked me not to use her name. But thanks to her for that feedback, and I've banned her. Anyway, Living in Las Vegas meetup, which is really a meetup for anybody who listens to the VVN or the Living in Las Vegas podcast. Again, that's Friday, September 9th from 4 to 7. Here's the Facebook invite page. If I didn't invite you, it's only because you're not a direct friend of mine. But everybody, as you can see, is welcome. So please, please, please show up. What's been really cool about this is we went to Rum Bar and said, hey, they asked us, well, how many people do you think we're going to have at the meetup? I said, I don't know, probably 15 people or so, something around those lines. So we put up the Facebook page. I think it was yesterday. And by the end of the day, we had 15. I think we're up to 17 now. So we're going to go way past what our expectations were. Luckily, the people at Rum Bar were very cool about saying, hey, if you need more people, if you're going to get more people, just go ahead and expand that, and we'll take care of you. So apologize to anybody who thought that was a commercial, but the people want the meetup, and we're here to give it to them, dagnabbit. All right. What else? Okay, let's get into the stuff today. Well, that's not the one I wanted to show. Oh, maybe I will. A couple things. So I'm doing some working out stuff. I'm not going to give the name. I am actually at Studio 222. Another commercial. He's not. He's just a friend. He's a good guy. So I've been finding myself driving on 215. Which I usually don't have to do. I live in the northern part of the valley and drive towards the Strip, right, which isn't too bad. I think it's about a 13-mile drive from here to the studio. It's about a half-hour drive, give or take. And but every Tuesday and Thursdays, Jacob and I work out at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I'm up at 6:30 or whatever it is, which is brutal. And I usually take 215 at Ann all the way down. Now, that's a really nice drive. It's fast. The freeway is new. It's easy to get around on. Now, there are some speed traps there, to be sure. Well, I'm not sure if there are. Actually, there are a couple speed traps. But I've seen a couple times now where there would be a motorcycle cop on a bridge with one of his little radar guns, and then 4 cops at the on-ramp just waiting for, okay, 193, the blue Toyota 493, and they're off, and you see there's tons of people being pulled over. So you always want to be cautious of that. But you don't think of that place as a dangerous road because you got great visibility, and it's smooth, and it's wide. And so it worked out this morning, and after getting my ass handed to me by James, God bless James, was driving back, and I got on the freeway at Flamingo at 215, and it was stopped, just right there at Flamingo. Stop. I'm like, what's going on? Well, this was what was going on. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm behind that black SUV, and if you get a little closer, you can see that somebody had a boo-boo on the big 215 northbound, and that stopped traffic dead in the tracks, as the kids say. So I'd recommend to you be cautious out there, because the truth of the matter is Las Vegas drivers are, as a practice, easily some of the worst drivers I've ever seen. Now, I don't know if it's because they black out the windows. That's actually one of my theories. I believe that because it's legal to black out your windows here in Las Vegas, and they do it primarily, I think, probably because of heat reasons, but it also creates a sense of anonymousness. So you don't get people don't see you, so you feel like you're a bit more of a Batman or whatever. And I see really bad drivers more often than not, people in blacked out windows. Anyways, hopefully this guy is okay. It actually looked like they were okay. There were no ambulances. Everybody's just kind of standing around. But that was a pretty intense little what ski. So stay out there, be careful, and God bless you all. What else? Had a chance to go check out what I thought was probably the most impressive comedy I've ever seen live. Now, I have the opportunity to meet and talk to a lot of comedians with one of our shows, which I won't mention because that'll be a commercial. I'm going to mention it later. But a lot of comedians come to the studio, and Melissa and I are real big fans of stand-up comedy, so we go to all the different places here, whether it's Improv or used to be LA Comedy Club, or there's a variety of places around here, Brad Garrett's and so on. And but Jerry Seinfeld was here in town playing at the Coliseum at Caesars, and I had never been at the Coliseum. So I was really excited to get invited to go. Our friends Marie and Ira invited us. And by the way, we've talked about this. I did a solo show back in, I think it was episode 82, talking about how we get free tickets. And one of them is show tickets for locals, which has slightly changed the way they do business now, but it's the same general idea. And the other one is house seats. House seats tends to have better tickets. And Ira has this software program. It's an add-on to Firefox, where it looks like on a page of a website, in this case, all the different shows available on house seats. And if there's a change in that page, in other words, if they've added a show, he gets an alert. Boop. So the page is sitting there. They added the Jerry Seinfeld show. He gets an alert and immediately gets a bunch of tickets, right? Calls me and says, hey, you want to go? So this is Friday night after work. And so we were like, yeah, are you kidding? Let's go. So head on down to Caesars. A couple tips. First of all, parking tips. Like I've told you before many times, we are valet parking people. 3 valet parking places at Caesars. One's in the front, and I would actually avoid that because of all the valet parkings in any of the strip properties. That's the first one to get filled up first. So Friday, it might have been okay to go there by the time the show is at 7:30, so we got there a little bit about 7, a little after 7 or so. Melissa and I drove separately because I was angry because she wasn't going to be on the show. That's not true. But so I usually head back to. There's 2 other backside valets. One of them is the Forum valet parking. There's a bunch of shopping there. And that's pretty good, but the super sauce secret parking place is the Coliseum Valet, which is in the big parking structure in the back of the building. So you go in the back. It's kind of a long drive to get back there, but you pull up in this parking garage, you drop off your car, and you walk right into the casino. You're right in. Now you're the backside of the casino, so as you walk towards the main body of the casino, on one side is the Forum, but just a little bit to the right side is the Coliseum, which is their big theater. So it's a really good place to park. So without question, if you're a valet parking person, the Coliseum Valet is where you want to go. So went in there, met with Ira and Marie, and they had a bunch of friends with them. And we went in there, and a couple tips, first of all, that I would recommend to the good folks over at Caesars, and that is hire more bartenders. I mean, when we got in there, it was about 15 or 7:15. Show's supposed to start at 7:30, and they said basically at 7, when the show starts, the bar is shut down right then and there. So you had these huge lines, big queues of people trying to get a drink before they got in there. And so they only had 2 bartenders for the bar downstairs and 2 bartenders for the bar upstairs. So it created kind of a long line. That wasn't very bright. They should have had more bartenders there. But then we got to go in and really check out this Coliseum. Now, I'd never been in there. Now, Melissa had seen, I think it was Celine. Wasn't it with you, Jackie? And so she's seen it, and it's a beautiful place. And what was interesting about it from a salesy house business perspective is, Seinfeld comes out here, I'm guessing maybe once a year or so, maybe once every 6 months. I'm not exactly sure. But he's a big draw here. He's at a level of a draw of, the Celines and the Eltons and those kind of guys. And he's a big fan of the place, he told everybody. But I guess they're having kind of some problems selling tickets. They definitely weren't able to sell them at full price. Full price ranges from, I think it's $75 to $175 or something like that. They're not cheap. Then I saw a thing on sale where they were down to $50, which is, not bad for a show with a triple A comedian. And but they comped us, so clearly they couldn't sell that place out. And it's a large place. I don't know, it's probably about 2,000 people or whatever. And there were empty seats there for the whole show that I saw. Not a lot, but a few. So the show started with a guy named Tom Papa. Tom Papa does a TV show now called The Marriage Ref, which is executive produced by Seinfeld. And he came out, so I recognized him from the show. He also has a talk show on Sirius, or XM Sirius, a comedy show. I think it's called Come to Papa or something like that. And so I was aware of this guy, and Ira had told me that he headlined at the Orleans a couple, 3 weeks ago. Well, he came out and crushed it. I mean, crushed it. And as you might imagine, now this Papa guy has been opening for Seinfeld for 10 plus years. So obviously they get along. It's probably why Seinfeld hired him to do The Marriage Ref. But Seinfeld's a clean comedian, and so is this Papa guy. And just amazing work. I just sat there going, gosh, you simply don't have to be crude. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to cuss and swear. And there was a little cussing here. I mean, there's a hell and a damn and maybe a bastard here and there. But it was nothing real dark. And he owned that room for it was probably a 25-minute set or so. And when he left, I thought, I don't think I'd want to follow that. And then no announcement whatsoever. Curtains open, and Seinfeld comes out. Now there's no stage. I mean, you've seen those HBO specials where they got the big sets and everything behind them. It was nothing. It was literally a spotlight, a microphone, and curtains behind them. So it was a pretty, a sparse stand-up set. Seinfeld comes out, runs around a little bit, and he started off a little, slow, but then he crushed it. Just crushed it. It's just amazing to see this kind of talent come, and especially do it for free is pretty cool. So if you ever get a chance to see them, I had somebody say that he had heard that, it's 4,000 seats at the Coliseum. Okay, thanks, Ted. Not 2,000. If you ever get a chance to see these guys, you should go see them. It was really impressive, clean, funny, just stunning. So go see those cats if you can. And it's a beautiful property as well. Also, under the heading of what were they thinking, some what I consider to be bad news. Two bits of bad news. First, I read this in the paper this weekend, and I just don't get this thing. Kim and Kourtney Kardashian are going to be opening a retail store here. Stand by, hold on. Oh, why? What? I am so confused as to why people are interested in these goofballs. Did you know that was a $30 million wedding and it's going to be profitable for them? Excuse me. I just don't understand this. It's so wrong. Anyways, they're opening a retail place at the Mirage called Kardashian Chaos with a K. Isn't that clever? You say one thing for those kids. They're smart. And it's a retail place, media and women's health, fitness, and lifestyles at the Mirage. I mean, I'm so confused. Ted says it in the live chat. Makes no sense to me. Who the hell would want to buy their stuff? I don't get it. I mean, maybe you'll want to watch them because it's a consistent and nonstop car-y kind of train wreck whenever you see these guys. But would you want to go outside in the public and buy stuff from these guys? Man, I don't get it. There's an interview. The cat who runs MGM was on Neil Cavuto's show on Fox a couple of days ago. It's in the paper. And he asked him about that. And he's like, no, I've never met them. I bet you haven't met them. Jeez Louise. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, Jackie. $30 million was the cost of their wedding. and yet they're going to make a profit with sponsors and advertisers, and I think the devil's pitching in as well. It's just unbelievable. By the way, I saw that as a tweet somewhere, so I can't take responsibility for that joke. But so I'm reading that and going, really? Come on, there's got to be something better you can put in there. MGM guys, there's just got to be something better. But there it is. I don't know what the time frame is, but you can be sure that if Melissa even goes anywhere near there, I will be elsewhere. Also on the what were they thinking front for the good folks at MGM? The Harmon Towers. Now, for those of you who don't know, City Center, which is the crown jewel of the Strip, it's a pretty cool place, $9 billion worth. One of the buildings there is called the Harmon Towers. That's a picture of it right there. That's the picture with the giant Elvis billboard wrapped there. And basically, for those of us in Las Vegas, we've all already know that that's just the largest billboard on the Strip. And the reason why it's like that is because that building is inhabitable, meaning when they first started to build it, if you look at the size there, which is pretty tall, its intent was to be twice that size. Twice that size. So you may be thinking to yourself, well, why would that be? Well, they had some problems. They had a little problem building it. And so they capped it off at that height there and thought, well, everything's going to be okay. Let's go ahead and carry that. Well, the folks over at Clark County said, we've been hearing you guys complaining about it's not safe, and you've gone after the builders and said it's not safe, and the builders said, no, it's fine. You guys are just trying to welch out of paying me back and forth, ping pong. And eventually, Clark County said, you guys got to figure this out. Tell us what the deal is and tell us what you're going to do about it. So the good folks over at MGM Resort and International did a little research, and they hired in another firm to go and check the place out. And the firm came back and said it was structurally troubled, it cannot be fixed, and submitted a plan to implode this unfinished luxury hotel and condo. So they're going to implode this thing. Can you imagine? So my question is, who's responsible for this? Now, this was, by the way, a direct response to the Clark County Building Department. They said, because they've been screwing around with this now for, I don't know, a year or however long it's been. But Clark County basically said, enough. What are you going to do with this piece of property? You've got to figure it out. And they said, you know what? The problem is, if this thing gets hit with an earthquake, it's going to tip over. It's going to be bad news. It's just not structurally sound. So we're going to implode it. So, no, my question is, who should be on the hook for this? If you or I were to build something or create something, a product, and let's say, I don't know, the Harmon Tower represents what? 20% of all the property that is in City Center. That might be a little high, but a fifth of that is an unusable shell that is a giant billboard. If you or I did that and spent that kind of money, my guess that our bosses might not be happy with that. So somebody would probably be liable. Somebody might get sued or get fired, for example. I don't know what's going to happen here, but my guess is there's going to be some lawsuits coming. Well, there already are, I think. I believe there's lawsuits between the builder and MGM now. But this could be a civil thing. I'm wondering if it could be criminal, if there was some criminal negligence, or if that's possible. Can you be criminally negligent if you don't build a building correctly? Now, I don't know. But the idea of having something, the City Center that's been around now for, like I said, it was about a year or so, and they're already going to implode that, that is not going to be a good photo op, folks. It's bad. So if you're staying at the Aria, be happy, because they're not going to implode that. It's a nice building. But if anybody tries to sell you a property at the Harmon Tower, I'd suggest declining. And speaking of declining, by the way, other good news, if you are a home buyer in Las Vegas, and that our home prices are down 15%. Oh, jeez. Again, our house is underwater. I think most of the people I know, their houses are underwater. And it's interesting. The down 50% to $116,000 is now the average price. $116,000. I know we've got a bunch of people in California who watch our show. Can you fathom that the average amount of the average price for a house in your town or in your area is $116,000? It's unbelievable, of course.
Tomahawk say no.
Right. There's no possible way that you would think that. Yet it's everywhere here. As a matter of fact, on Getting Real, we talk about the housing. We did a series there, as a matter of fact, that the average price was $135,000. We looked at a bunch of houses. That value now has dropped. So, Ted says the homes are now at 1999 price levels, which is unbelievable. Now, we bought here in 2003, in 2003, took possession in 2004, moved here in 2005. And it was crazy when we saw the housing market just grow. I think I've told the story before on the show. When we took possession, the value of our house went up about $100,000 in 6 months. And Melissa's like, well, this is pretty groovy. I think we're going to do pretty well here. And I was like, I don't think we're going to be doing so good here, dear. Because, whoops, didn't want that one. Because it's untenable. There's no way we can sustain this kind of growth in this market. And, I was right. So it's all fallen to hell. And there were some good news there. There was 5 zip codes that did increase. So if you are in the 89124, which is the Desert Shore area east of Summerlin, your value went up. 89128 Southern Highlands, which is a really nice area, the very south part of the valley. Your value went up. 89138, which is Summerlin. 89146, which is Spring Valley, and 89085, which is surprisingly North Las Vegas. You're all set to go. By the way, I think I've got it written down. Did I? Yeah. At $116,000 is the average price. The average price per square foot here is $66 a square foot. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. The lowest square foot, this is in North Las Vegas, 89030, is, get this, $33 a square foot. So, if you're looking to buy a house, I'd buy one now. And we're going to talk about something related to that in a moment. But I was thinking about talking about, exactly. Ray's on the live chat and said, you can't build them for that. You can't. You could buy a plot of land and say, because there's a lot of plot of lands like on the west side of the valley here, like off of Ann down to Craig, a lot of property out there. And for a while, it was all boomy, and there's some beautiful homes out there, beautiful properties. But you can't buy a house. I mean, you can't build a house for what you can buy now. It's just unbelievable out there. So, but on the other hand, if you are in the home buying place, I was going to say, if I were asked, would you move here today? Well, in my position, I certainly would, because I work for myself. So I have my own job. And Melissa has the kind of job where she can get hired as long as other companies are hiring, and so that could be a real problem. She happens to work for a company that is in fact hiring, so that works out well. And if you're working for a job that if you're in construction, no, I wouldn't move here. If you're in gaming, maybe not. But if you can move here and get a job here, I'd be here in a New York second. Because the pricing of these houses is, I don't think, well, another good point. So a lot of people think we're at the bottom of the market now. This is it, can't go any lower. But I've read a couple things now, and Bridget as well says that, well, we're probably going to go a little lower. And I know Ted, who's on the live chat, has gone around looking at houses, and I know he's seen some pretty good looking places. But probably at good prices. But it's weird because depending on whether it's an REO or I'm sorry, a foreclosure or a short sale, starting to get multiple offers now, which means in Bridget's mind that it's still not quite at the bottom of the market because people still thinking are still kind of playing. It bottoms out. She's thinking maybe next summer. But nonetheless, if you see a house here, I mean, they're 50% off. You can buy a house for half. And we're seeing $1 million houses here for $500,000 routinely. I have a thing on Craigslist, a search on one of my apps, where I just look for houses that have, I want a casita and a pool. That's my kind of a dream house. And we're seeing these houses that look, this house used to be 1.2 million. This, and now we're selling it for $6 million. This house used to be was done at 850, and now it's 350. And this is commonplace. You're seeing this everywhere. So if you're thinking about moving out here, I'd say do it. As long as you are either employed or in another position that we'll talk about in a few minutes. And before we take our break, I do want to say a little something about the Vegas Video Network. I want to send a congrats out to Brandon Gooch Hahn for his launch of Awkward Silence 2.1. He did that last Friday and did a great job. Got some really nice emails from folks who were very appreciative of the show. And he had a tough guest, by the way. So, and he made it through. We tried to wrangle that guest in a variety of ways, and we couldn't get that guy to smile. And it was really a tough guest, but we learned from it. We got some ideas on how to manage that moving forward. But it was a good show. We had a good time with it. Other than that, we actually, Gooch and I met today and talked a little bit about it. We're both very excited for the show. I'm very proud of what he did. Melissa called him a star. She watched the show and just said, wow, this guy's got it figured out. And he does. So so I'm really proud of him. And also one of the things is going to be, I think, exciting for us this is kind of fun stuff for folks who are fans of the network. And that is, we like to do monthly announcements if at all possible. In August this month, we talked about Roku, which is blowing up. We've got over 3,000 subscribers already. We've only been on it for like 10 days or so. Last month, we talked about the KSHP thing. And in September, we've got a new thing we're going to be talking about. Can't talk about it quite yet, but it's very exciting. It's another partnership. It's another way to branch out and get our name out there that I think is going to change. It's going to broaden our scope even larger. We are a worldwide entity now. We have people in, I think it's 40 or 50 states, all the states watch us live, but 40 or 50 countries watch us live, 140 countries download our content. We're going to just really expand our exposure beginning September if all goes well. I'll learn more about that on Friday. So real excited about that. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. And then we're going to talk about something that all of us have to deal with at some point or another. It's the Living in Las Vegas podcast. I'm Scott Whitney, and thanks for playing along. Guess who's coming to AM 1400 KSHP? It's all the great shows from the Vegas Video Network. Join us on Fridays from 6 to 10 p.m. to get the best insider news and expert views about entertainment and comedy, cocktails and fine dining, living in Las Vegas, the real estate market, golf, and sports betting. Visit VegasVideoNetwork.com and KSHP.com for more information. And join us on Fridays from 6 to 10 p.m. for the Vegas Video Network Friday Night Features. And we're back. Jackie, you're so cute. I hate suspense. I hate when he does those teases. Sorry, that's just what we do. Is who going to be at the meetup? Me? Yes, I will be, Jackie. Oh, you mean Ray? I think he said he was going to be. Ray, did I send you an invite on the Facebook? I think I did. If I didn't, let me know and I'll get that to you. Okay, good. Yeah. And I'm being threatened by the people in the live chat for teasing them with that upcoming stuff. It's going to be very, very cool. We're just really freaking excited about it. Alluded to it a little bit before the break, and that is, buying a house. Why would you buy a house? Well, you'd buy a house if you were, say, if you had a job and you wanted to live here. Or maybe, just maybe, you're thinking about retiring. Now, Nevada is one of the few states, and there's a handful, 5 or so, that doesn't have state income tax and a bunch of other good things. Nevada's one, I think Florida, maybe Texas, not sure who they all are. But one of the things all of us have to deal with at some point or other is the concept of retirement, either yourself or for many of my friends, and this happened to me recently, is the idea of where your aging parents should be. And so when we moved here, we kind of knew that, part of the reason we were here is because we figured that at some point my mom would need to not be where she lived. And she lived in a beautiful community called Anacortes in Washington State. Beautiful, beautiful. But the problem was, she's getting up there in years, and her husband was beginning to show signs of dementia. And I don't know if anybody's gone through that, but it's not pleasant. And so we really wanted her to be near us when it got to the point where she couldn't handle her husband alone. And, this was back in 2005, or actually 2006. And so we started doing some research, checking out, what's going on. And on the other hand, besides, the kid of the parent, the retiree, you're concerned, are you getting the best bang for the buck? Are you getting the best value for where you're buying? And one of the other reasons why we moved here is, we moved from California up in the Bay Area, a little town just outside of San Jose called Los Gatos. And the house we have right now is 60% larger than the house we had in Los Gatos and 40% of the cost. And this was in the boom. Imagine what that would be like now. I can't even get my head wrapped around it. But so we wanted to find a place that would be apropos for my mom. And she also wanted to be in an age-restricted area, which is normally 55 years or over. And first of all, I'm proud to say that I'm not quite old enough to make the age-restricted deal yet. So no jokes from the peanut gallery. And actually, Jackie makes a good point about Los Gatos. It is an expensive city. I lived in the thumb of Los Gatos. This was Los Gatos. A little thumb here. It was surrounded by San Jose. So I got the great zip code, but it wasn't the main Los Gatos. Anyways, so in one of the most famous retirement communities in the country is Sun City. It originated in Arizona. My uncle, Uncle Jim, lives down in Sun City, Arizona. I think it's in Phoenix. And he's kind of like the golf mayor. He's very well known down there. Sun City in Arizona is huge. I mean, it's monstrous. Very impressive. Good energy there. But there are 3 Sun Cities here. There's one in Aliante, one in Anthem, which is in Henderson, and one in Summerlin. And my mom, when she came down looking for these places, she checked out, a variety of places, some age restricted, some not. And then a couple of them were Sun City. She checked out an Anthem one, again, down in Henderson. But she chose a place in Summerlin, a beautiful house in Summerlin, golf course place. And Summerlin is a pretty cool area. I mean, it's, Melissa, if she could live anywhere, she'd probably live in Summerlin because of all the amenities. Although it's getting kind of busier now. We're starting to kind of get used to being not in Summerlin. But it's huge. Summerlin, or I should say Sun City, Summerlin has 7,779 homes. We were having dinner with my mom last Sunday, and we were wondering how many people live in Summerlin. And she said, she guessed, probably about 15,000. That's just about right. She goes, yeah, but they're dropping. She goes, you hear a siren every morning from an ambulance coming up. So, so it could be a little dark. But 7,779 homes, 3 golf courses, 4 social and rec facilities. They've got tennis. They had a 312-seat theater, miniature golf, bocce ball. They got it all. And I wanted to kind of show you what you can do there because, one of the things that we were worried about is that there would be nothing for them to do. It would just be a bunch of old people in their walkers running around the block and tipping over and breaking hips and stuff. And in fact, that's not what's going on there at all. It's a pretty happening place. And the best demonstration of that is I'm going to do some graphics here. Let me just see if I can get that up there. Okay, there we go. The best demonstration of that is what they're doing to reach out to the community, to let people know what it is they do. They have, now this is, by the way, Summerlin is a 25-year-old master plan community, so they've been around for a while. One of the things they have that I think is really cool is a magazine called Link. And this is the magazine here. So it's a monthly magazine. You can see I got August there. This is edition 251. They do one each month. So what is that? 20 some odd years of magazines. And it's really impressive, all the things that you can do and how they address many of the issues a senior person might want to deal with or might need to deal with. So I've brought up a digital version of that magazine. Here it is, link. I wanted to just kind of scroll through it with you a little bit and show you what's going on here, because it really is just uber impressive. And so, like I said, they're doing this once a month, which I think is very cool. And let's go ahead and do that. There we go. So you scroll through here, we come on down, and I mean, immediately you see you've got things going on here. They're not messing around. They are trying to keep busy. They're trying to keep their constituency busy there as well, which I think is really, really cool. Lots of talent shows and contests, but what I really like, some funny things here are as well. So this is a the ride along with the security patrol. Now, we saw one of these security patrol people a week or so ago. This is not very nice, but what are you gonna do? So we're driving, going to lunch or dinner with mom, and we see an old guy, really old guy, 80s, driving us, Sun City Summerlin security, light or whatever. I'm like, what is this guy gonna do if somebody breaks into your house and he's gonna fall, break a hip, and trip of the bad guy? Well, actually, that's not what happens. What really happens is their main job is to check to make sure your home is secure. And mostly, it's to check garage doors. Your garage door open, that's not good. It's a security issue. You might get stuff stolen. So we wouldn't want you to do that. So that's really what the good people who are working security are up to. God bless their souls. But what's really kind of fun here is what they've got going to keep people busy. Let me shrink that up a little bit. And that is, by the way, something that I thought was interesting. Here we go. Special events. So first of all, they can keep you really busy just going to special events. So they got bands there and Greece, and you can take day trips to Prim and Valley of the Fire day trips, and you're really not wanting to do anything unless there's a Halloween dance and a Polo American dance, and you want to go to Laughlin, you can go to Laughlin. You want to check out Greece, you can do pretty much whatever you want. It's pretty slick. One of the things that I thought was interesting here, and there is a news item about this as well, is that there is a ton of advertising in here, which tells me that folks know that these people have got money, and they need and want to spend it. I mean, tons and tons and tons and tons of advertising. This gets back to what folks are up to. So there's a Neil Diamond guy and another play and some more show tunes and musician. I mean, and more ads and more ads and more ads and more ads. And oh my God, there's more ads. It's everywhere. And now we get to a calendar. And now we get into the stuff that when I first saw this magazine, I thought, okay, I think we're going to be all right here. And that is, all these are charter clubs that have some kind of organizational play here, and they're doing just all kinds of really fun stuff. So aerobics, you want to do beads, you can do, I missed something that I wanted to show you. Let's see if I can go back to that, because it's kind of important for folks in this world. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, darn it. Well, there is a lot of places where you can go to for help with, like if your spouse has Alzheimer's, or you need some support in that way, which I thought was smart. And my mom went to one. Her husband has been in a memory care facility now for about a year, and that was an incredibly difficult situation for her, for all of us, but really for her naturally. And I think that memory care place really helped her come to terms with what she was doing was okay. I mean, she basically described a lot of the symptoms that her husband was going through, and they're all saying, "Geez, he's beyond what many people would say is the criteria to have him go into a memory care facility." So it was hard, continues to be hard for her, but nonetheless, I think that support was good. But you can see here all the things that you can do. So if you're suffering from cabin fever and you're retired there at Sun City, you've just chosen to be that way. There is no reason for it. Again, bocce ball, book clubs, bridge, a lot of bridge folks. You have arthritis, we can talk about arthritis. Canasta, ceramics, dancing, more dancing, classical music, cribbage, computers, which I think is pretty cool. Fishermen folks want to learn French, want to play some golf, want to go hiking. Do you dig the Hawaii? Want to do some horseshoes? All there. My mom is a conservative, so she's going to join the conservative group and hang out with those guys and see what's what. So, I mean, and then of course back to the ads again. So it's really an impressive array of content that you get to be exposed to if you choose to do so. And you got crossword puzzles and that kind of stuff too. Also a place, and I think this is real smart, a service of directories. So if you need help, if you're by yourself and you need somebody to help with your plumbing or your air conditioning or your lawn or your grass or whatever, here's a long list of people, pet sitting, for example, real estate, who can help you here as well. Again, they make it really easy for you to be independent if you want to be independent there, get the kind of help you need, and be in a location that I think is really pretty nice. The location in and of itself is gorgeous. Summerlin in and of itself is very nice. And I'll tell you, we have never regretted having her come out here to Las Vegas, and we've certainly not regretted her decision to be in Sun City, Summerlin. As a matter of fact, she said yesterday, or Sunday during dinner, that she felt safe there. She's by herself now, but she felt safe being in this community. And it may be beyond just the gray-haired people driving around checking garage doors, but it's a very nice place and highly recommended. There's one up here in Aliante, that area. There's one down there in Anthem. They're both good as well, but I think that the Summerlin one certainly has their stuff together better than anything that I've ever seen. Okay, so that's it, everybody. Thanks very much for checking out our show today. I hope this is helpful. This is a big deal for us when we had to deal with it a couple years ago. And as a matter of fact, actually, I'll stop that for a minute. When we were thinking about retiring, our original idea was to retire in Florida. And mainly because I've always wanted to have a Scott dock, a house with a dock, a little boat that I could go puttering around in. Florida has a lot of waterways, so I thought that'd be the place to do it. The problem with Florida, of course, is that it's humid, and I mean humid. And if you've lived in Las Vegas long enough, you're not used to humidity anymore. So we decided that there's probably every chance that we will retire here, not in this particular house. But because of the taxes, because of the areas here available to folks, whether it's age restricted or not, and the close proximity to other things, we will likely retire in Las Vegas. Hard to say, kind of like it, but that's what we're doing. Okay, with that, thanks again, everybody, for playing along. I sure hope Melissa comes back next week, because doing this by myself is sad. Anyways, thanks everybody again. Don't forget to check out our listener line. We really want to hear from you guys. It's a kick for all of us on the network. That number is 866-966-4599. Or again, if you want to send us an email, you can do so at onairq@livinginlv.com. Again, onairq at livinginlv.com. If you haven't sent your photo into the Friends of the Living in Las Vegas page, please do. I promise you your whites will be whiter and your brights will be brighter. This, of course, is not a guarantee because Ray is not my personal lawyer. If it was, I'd bring him over and then I'd say, go ahead and sue me. But he's not, so don't sue me. But go ahead and give us your photo anyways. All right, that's it, everybody. Thanks very much to the folks in the chat for playing along. Great people, as always. And we'll catch you guys next week, unless I can't find Melissa, and then I will just cry a sad little cry. See you later.
Credits are happening. Yeah, she's pretty hot. We're still working on him. Vegas Video Network. I like it.